All right, let's talk about something that hits every single one of us right in the wallet: inflation. In this explainer, we're going to get to the bottom of exactly why that cash you have doesn't seem to go as far as it used to.
Have you ever had that feeling? You're looking at your grocery bill or the price at the gas pump and you just think, hang on, wasn't this way cheaper not that long ago? Well, you're not imagining things. There's a really powerful economic force at play here, and we're going to break it all down.
Okay, so what is this invisible force that seems to be making our wallets feel a little lighter? Let's start with a solid, clear definition.
Now, the key words here are sustained and general. This is super important. We're not talking about a one-off price jump on, say, avocados. Inflation is this broad, relentless rise in prices across the entire economy, and it's what slowly chips away at the buying power of our money.
And this slide really drives that point home. If the price of just one thing goes up, let's say bananas, maybe there was a bad harvest, that's not inflation. But if the price of bananas and bread and cars and your rent and even your haircut, if they all start creeping up over time, that is inflation. It's all about the big picture.
I love this way of putting it, a hidden tax, because it's so accurate, right? Nobody sends you a bill for it, but it's constantly, quietly eating away at the value of your savings. Think about it. If your money's in an account earning maybe 1% interest, but inflation is chugging along at 3%, you're actually losing spending power every single day.
All right, so if inflation is like a price fever for the economy, how in the world do economists actually, take its temperature? Let's dive into that. Well, the main way they do it is with something called a basket of goods and services. That's basically a big imaginary shopping list of things a typical family would buy. Economists then track the total cost of this basket over time. And if that total cost goes up, bingo, that tells us the rate of inflation.
So, there are a few different ways to measure this. You've got the Wholesale Price Index, or WPI, which looks at prices from the producer's side. Then there's the GDP deflator, which is super broad and covers the whole economy. But the one you're going to hear about on the news, the one that really matters for most of us, is the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. Why? Because it's designed to track the stuff we actually buy. It's the closest thing we have to measuring our real, everyday experience of rising prices.
Okay, we know what it is, we know how to measure it, but the big question is, why does it happen? What's actually causing all these prices to go up? Let's pop the hood and look at the engine room of inflation.
For the most part, it really boils down to two big forces. On one hand, you have demand-pull inflation. The easiest way to think about this is too much money chasing too few goods. It's like an auction, right? Everybody's got more money and wants to buy stuff, but there isn't enough to go around, so prices get bid up. Then, on the other side, you've got cost-push inflation. This is when it just gets more expensive for businesses to make things. Maybe oil prices shoot up or supply chains get all tangled. What do? They pass those higher costs on to us, the consumers, in the form of higher prices.
Now, this is where things can get really messy, because those two forces can start feeding each other in something called a wage-price spiral. It works like this. Prices go up, so you, understandably, ask for a raise to keep up. Your company gives it to you, but then they have to raise their prices to cover your higher salary. See the problem? The cycle just repeats, and suddenly you've got this built-in inflation that can be really hard to stop.
And that brings us to a really, really important point. Inflation doesn't hit everyone the same way. It sends these ripples across the economy, and that creates some very clear winners and losers.
And this is where things get kinda wild. You'd think that saving money is always a good thing, right? Well, with inflation, if you've been stashing cash away, it's actually your enemy. It's just eroding the value of that nest egg. But, and this is the crazy part, if you have debt, like a fixed-rate mortgage on a house, inflation can actually be your friend. Why? Because you're paying back that loan with money that's worth less and less over time. It's a really strange twist.
But let's be absolutely clear. For a lot of people, inflation is a huge burden. It's toughest on people with fixed incomes, like retirees. It crushes low-income households whose wages just can't keep up with the rising cost of, well, everything. It basically widens the gap between people who have ways to protect their wealth and those who just don't.
So, given how serious this is, what can anyone actually do about it? Well, luckily, governments and central banks have a whole toolkit they can use to try and tame this inflation beast.
The number one tool in that kit is monetary policy. This is what a country's central bank does. Their main move to fight inflation? They raise interest rates. That makes it more expensive for people and businesses to borrow money, which tends to cool down spending, slow the whole economy down a bit, and hopefully bring those rising prices back under control.
The other big tool is fiscal policy, and this is in the hands of the government. They have two main levers they can pull. To fight inflation, a government could decide to cut its own spending, or it could raise taxes. Both of those moves would essentially pull money out of the economy and help tamp down that overall demand. So what's the ultimate goal here? Are they trying to get inflation down to zero? You might be surprised to hear that no, they're not. For most big economies, the real target is this magic number, 2%. Yeah, it turns out a little bit of inflation is seen as a healthy sign for an economy. It gives people an incentive to spend and invest their money instead of just hoarding it, which keeps the economic gears turning. So the real enemy isn't inflation itself, it's unpredictable or runaway inflation. What everyone wants is stability. That's the name of the game.
And that really leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? In our incredibly complex, interconnected global economy, with all its supply chain shocks and surprises, is keeping inflation perfectly stable and predictable the ultimate challenge? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me.